What's up, soldiers? Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. We are doing the ultimate chicken tenders right here in your kitchen. Well, my kitchen, then you guys can replicate it at home. Your kids are gonna think you're superheroes. Forget Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Superman. Was Batman even a superhero? He ain't flicking gadgets. Anyhow, Uncle Chris and his gadgets gonna make you guys heroes. Irie, stay tuned. The first thing we've got to do is to season and allow the chicken tenders to marinate for a bit as we prep the other ingredients. Now, if you wanted to marinate this for about an hour or two in the fridge, that's cool. But for now, the time it takes me to prep everything is how long I'll be marinating the chicken tenders. And I have about 2 pounds of chicken tenders in there. I'm going in with sea salt. We need some black pepper. It's a very simple marinade, very simple. Keep it simple, but also tasty. That is the trick for this today. And Caribbean green seasoning. We want a tablespoon of that Caribbean green seasoning, and if you're new to Caribbean cooking, Caribbean green seasoning is basically a puree or a blend of all the herbs we like using in our dishes, from meat to fish, seafood, vegetarian, everything gets a touch of this green seasoning. Along with those herbs such as thyme, Spanish thyme, French thyme, scallions, cilantro, parsley. I also have some seasoning peppers in there, some garlic in there. It's just bare niceness. All we got to do now is give that a mix to coat the pieces of chicken with that green seasoning. Now, there is no need. There's garlic in here. There's no need for garlic powder or onion powder. There's scallions in here. There is no need for all those things. We are keeping it simple. And we are keeping it true to the Caribbean. This is how we do things, and we get maximum flavor from it. And like I said, this is based loosely on a recipe my mom would use for making fried chicken for us when we were growing up on the islands. This here is what I do for my daughters what I did and still do when they were growing up. To this day, they still love this. I still make this for them from time, trying to keep this as real to my mom's recipe. Yes, back in the old days, when I was a kid growing up on the islands, you could not get access to breadcrumbs. So we would buy what we call salt biscuit, which is pretty much salted crackers. And she would put it in a tea towel, smash it, and that is how we would get our breadcrumbs or cookie crumbs or cracker crumbs. And I like sticking to that because there's something about this way of doing it that, it tastes better, in my humble opinion. You smash these to a sort of a powder form, and you won't get anything that's uniform. When you buy that breadcrumbs, everything is the same sort of texture, and that is what we're trying to avoid. We're gonna, take out your Vex station now. You're just gonna smash this. And back then, she would always gotta take some air out of this. Yeah, you want to take as much air as you can out of it, or else you're going to run into problems. But back then, she would always give us, one of either myself, my brother, or my sisters, to do this part. And that is how we learned to cook, by being in the kitchen with mom and stuff like that. But back then, she didn't use a plastic bag as I'm using here. She would use a tea towel, wrap it in there, and then she would go in with a rolling pin. Well, it would be our job to do that. We're just going to smash this until we get a sort of a nice, even texture. But again, we are not looking for anything perfect, simply because we want those big bits, we want the small bits, we want everybody's going to play a part in this. Just be mindful that you may break the bag when you're doing it, so you may make a little bit of mess, but there we go. We've got all that pounded up salted crackers. I'm just whisking together a couple eggs. We'll need that for coating the chicken. Stage is set. What I've got is the seasoned chicken tenders, some all-purpose flour. Why did I put my hand in there at this point? I don't know, but anyhow, we've got the eggs, and we've got the salted crackers that we crushed over there, and I've got the sheet pan over here. And here's how we're going to do things. We're going to grab a chicken tender. We're going to dust it in the flour. We're going to take that into the egg mixture now. Then we're going to toss it into the crumbs, press, and then we've got it all coated there and onto the sheet tray. So again, and I've got two hands. I've got wet, wet, dry, dry. So we grab one of these bad boys, we dust, oh yeah, I said dry, dry, and I went and I screwed it up. Anyhow, you know, mistakes are made to happen. Whatever that means, I don't know. Into there, and you'll notice, remember we spoke earlier about the different size pieces once you crush it yourself. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll go over there in a second and I'll show you once I have a few done. But the texture of the chicken will be lovely with the coating, or the coating of the texture of the coating. So, flour. And the flour is just to help that egg mixture stick onto the chicken easier. And the egg mixture, the whipped egg, is to allow for the crackers to stick. It will take a few minutes, but you can see it's all prepped and ready now, and we can get to frying. You'll just need vegetable oil, and if you notice the sort of chunks that you're seeing, that is what I was talking about earlier when I spoke about having that different texture that typical breadcrumbs will not give to you. Now, if breadcrumbs is what you have available, by all means do that. What I also wanted to mention is that earlier I said we didn't have access to breadcrumbs on the islands. Here's the thing, it's probably because where my mom shopped, they didn't have it there. I don't know about the other parts of the island. I just don't want everybody thinking, wait, what kind of backward, poor kind of country this fella is from. Here's the thing, poor is an attitude. Poor is a state of mind. I, man, never been poor in my life. Anyhow, enough about that. We're going to fry this up now. Alright? So let's peep the station we've got set up. We've got that vegetable oil heating on the stove there. To the left, we've got the chicken tenders all prepped and ready, which is over here. And to the right, we've got a sheet pan with a wire rack and tongs. I don't like using paper towels because we've talked about this before in previous videos. I find that when you drain it on paper towels, it goes soggy. We don't want the underside to go soggy. We want a decent, and this is why we're calling it the ultimate tenders. Now, I almost lost it there for a second, boy. Anyhow, we're going. My vegetable oil is up to temperature now, and we're just gonna put them in gently, away from you. Try not to crowd the pan. If you wanted to, if you have a deep fryer, rock that deep fryer. And of course, do not own a deep fryer. Christmas is coming. Hey, send your boy a deep fryer now. Anyhow, we're not trying to crowd the pan, as I said. So, 3-4 minutes on each side, and you're done. 3 minutes later, flippity flip, because we want to get it nice and golden on the other side as well. And these are thin. These are relatively thin, so they will cook fast. If you're wondering, hey Chris, you sure 3 minutes, boy? Yeah, 3 minutes. We've got that lovely golden color on both sides, and keep in mind, I think I mentioned this to you when we did the crispy wings. They will darken up further once they start cooling down on that wire rack, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm just placing them onto that wire rack for them to cool down and drip into the sheet pan we've got below. If you wanted to salt these, here's where I would salt it. You notice I didn't salt the egg nor the batter or anything like that. That is because we're salted crackers we used. The chicken had a lot of salt already in there. Now here's where, if you wanted, as you take them out of the oil, you would hit them a little sea salt. Continue frying these in batches. And I don't know why I sound like if I'm a teacher at this point, but the lecture is on, ladies and gentlemen. It will take you about 15-20 minutes or so to get them all done. And what I'm doing here, I'm just removing the last batch. And like I said, if you wanted to salt them at this point, this is where It will work. And there we go, friends, the ultimate chicken tenders, homemade by Uncle Chris, just like his mommy would have made for him. Mommy didn't do chicken tenders though. She did fried chicken for us like this. Sup, soldiers? Listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me, email address down here. I mean, trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie. Know your eyes are not playing tricks on you. What you are seeing over here, that is Uncle Chris's spicy Scotch bonnet honey mustard sauce. Stay tuned tomorrow. Part 2 of this video, I'll show you how to make that wicked something to dippity dip these chicken strips. Yo, you can't go wrong. Always a pleasure, eh? Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me.